Have you ever given your all to someone only to feel invisible in return? What if the problem wasn't your love, but how easily available you made it? And what if, starting today, you could flip the dynamic and become someone they crave? To prioritize? Have you ever felt the sharp sting of being overlooked by someone you care about deeply? Like your feelings are brushed aside, your presence taken for granted, no matter how loyal, loving, or devoted you've been. They never put you first, even when you've always made them a priority. It's heartbreaking. But here's the truth. This pattern can be changed. In this video, we'll walk you through 10 essential rules, each designed to help you become irresistibly magnetic, someone who naturally commands attention and respect in relationships. And trust me, every rule builds upon the last, so stay until the very end, because every single one is a key piece of the transformation puzzle. Rule 1. Don't reveal everything. Become mysterious. There's power in holding back. The unknown is intriguing. As Seneca once said, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. And the same applies to our personal presence. Instead of laying yourself bare, think of your life as a novel, each chapter unfolding slowly, with just enough revealed to keep the reader turning the pages. Don't spill your whole story all at once. Let your conversations be intentional, not overwhelming. Speak with purpose, not pressure. Cleopatra mastered this. Her allure wasn't just beauty or power, it was the mystique that wrapped around her like silk. Her silence spoke louder than her words. People were drawn in, desperate to uncover the layers she kept hidden. So be like that winding forest path, always inviting, never fully predictable. When people can't figure you out easily, they lean in closer. They want to understand you, and in that desire, they start valuing you. Your life isn't an open book. It's an unfolding saga. Each moment should reveal just enough to ignite curiosity, never all at once. Rule 2. Create a fear of losing. You people often ignore what's always there, but once there's a threat of loss, everything changes. To shift the dynamic, you must become someone who is irreplaceable, not in words, but in presence. How? Start by living a life that is whole and fulfilling with or without them. Independence is attractive. Self-reliance is magnetic. When you live confidently on your own terms, others realize that being part of your life is not a right, it's a privilege. This isn't just strategy, it's philosophy. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you become emotionally self-sufficient, others begin to feel the value you bring. They sense that your absence would leave a noticeable gap, a silence too loud to ignore. You are not just another option. You are the only one who brings what you bring. And that leads us naturally into the next key, because once you've built mystery and independence, the question becomes, how do you maintain that magnetic pull without losing yourself? Let's explore that in Rule 3. So once you've embraced your independence and sparked that subtle fear of loss, what happens next? They begin to realize you're not just someone seeking attention. You're a powerful presence they can't afford to lose. You're no longer the one chasing affection or waiting for scraps of validation. Instead, you stand firm, like a lighthouse in the storm, radiating certainty. You are to be valued, and they must rise to meet you. Let them make the effort. Let them strive to be a part of your world. Because when you present yourself as a prize, not with arrogance, but with grounded self-worth, they begin to treasure your presence in ways they never did before. You're not just a player in their story. You're the game changer, the rare opportunity, the person whose absence would create a void too wide to ignore. A striking example of this dynamic can be seen in the early days of Apple. Back then, Steve Wozniak, the technical genius behind the original Apple computers, was not just any engineer. He was the essential force that made Jobs' vision possible. Woz's designs, his innovations, and his brilliance were irreplaceable. Steve Jobs saw this clearly. He didn't just collaborate with Wozniak, he actively supported him, protected that partnership, and amplified Woz's value. Because he knew losing Woz would mean losing a part of the very foundation of Apple's future. That partnership was powerful, not because Woz sought approval, but because he was the value. And Jobs recognized that. So let this be a reminder. When you embody your uniqueness and hold your ground, people don't just want you in their lives. They fight to keep you there. Now, once you've stopped seeking approval, there's one more truth you need to embrace. Rule 3. Create your own happiness. This rule is simple in concept, but transformative in practice. True happiness isn't something you find in another person. It's something you build within yourself. When you're grounded in self-confidence, inner peace, and joy that doesn't depend on anyone else, you shine. People are naturally drawn to individuals who radiate this kind of strength. Confidence is magnetic. Contentment is powerful. When you generate your own happiness, you become a source of light, not a seeker of it. You're not looking for someone to complete you. You are already whole. You're not waiting to be saved. You are your own sanctuary. And here's the beauty. When you show up in life fulfilled, you don't burden others with the weight of making you happy. Instead, you bring joy with you. You share it, and that makes your presence irresistible. Seneca once said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence on the future." That's exactly it. Contentment in the now, rooted in your own internal clarity. Consider Theodore Roosevelt. He endured deep personal loss. His wife and mother died on the same day. Yet he didn't collapse into despair. Instead, he chose to craft a life of meaning, exploration, and vigor. He boxed. He roamed the Badlands. He committed to public service. Roosevelt didn't wait for happiness to arrive. He forged it through resilience and intention. And in doing so, he became not only a larger-than-life leader, but a man deeply admired for his unshakable self-reliance. That's the power of self-generated joy. It lifts you, and in turn, it lifts everyone around you. So how do you protect this inner joy from being drained by others? How do you stay rooted in it, even in difficult relationships? That's exactly what we'll explore in Rule 4. So now that you've learned to cultivate happiness from within, the next step is to make sure people work to be part of that happiness. Rule 4. Be costly. Let them invest in you. You are not ordinary. You're a rare gem, a once-in-a-lifetime find. And like all things rare, your value increases when others have to invest to keep you close. Don't confuse being present with being freely available. True worth is recognized when there's effort, intention, and even challenge involved. Because what's easily gained is often carelessly lost. Let them work to earn a place in your life, not because you're playing games, but because your presence carries meaning. When someone pours their time, emotions, and energy into you, the bond they form becomes stronger, deeper, more enduring. You're not here to beg for love or attention. You're here to enrich someone's world. And that is worth pursuit. Let them show up. Let them invest. Let them feel that choosing you isn't just casual, it's consequential. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." You are that gem. And the path to truly knowing you shouldn't be instant. It should be intentional. Think about Alexander the Great and his mentor, Aristotle. Aristotle wasn't just a tutor. He was a philosopher of extraordinary wisdom, someone who challenged Alexander to think, grow, and lead with depth. Alexander didn't just sit back and absorb lessons. He invested in that relationship because he knew Aristotle's teachings weren't easily accessible. They were hard-earned insights that shaped his empire. That wasn't a passive mentorship. It was a deliberate journey. one that turned Aristotle's guidance into a treasure trove of wisdom, one that Alexander valued immensely. So remember, when your presence is earned, not handed over, people treat you like the treasure you are. And once you've set that standard, the next step is just as important. Rule 5. Don't make them the center of your life. While it's tempting to revolve around someone you care about, don't lose sight of your own orbit. You are a luminous star, shining with your own unique energy, guided by your own purpose. When your world starts revolving entirely around another person, you risk dimming your own light, your dreams, your passions, your identity. They all matter, and they deserve space to thrive. Maintain that sense of independence. It's not just healthy, it's magnetic. An autonomous spirit draws others in. Why? Because it whispers of mystery, drive, and depth. Let your life be a journey they want to witness, not a stage set just for their role. This balance creates a dynamic where you complement each other, without compromising your individuality. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, captured this perfectly. He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. True, harmony starts from within. Your self-reliance not only protects your peace, it magnifies your presence. A perfect example? Sir Isaac Newton. Despite his revolutionary scientific contributions, Newton didn't live to impress anyone. He didn't depend on public applause or romantic distractions. His focus was internal. His purpose was personal, and that, ironically, made him one of the most influential and magnetic minds in history. So ask yourself, are you building a life so rich and full that others want to be part of it? Or are you dimming your own light to keep someone else shining? In the next rule, we'll explore how embracing your standards, not theirs, shapes the entire dynamic of your relationships. As we saw with Isaac Newton, his brilliance didn't come from constant validation. It came from honoring his inner world, nurturing friendships, and pursuing passions beyond his work. That balance made him not just a great scientist, but a deeply respected, well-rounded individual. Now let's build on that same foundation with the next critical principle. Rule 6. Prioritize your own needs. First, in any relationship, whether romantic, professional, or personal, your well-being must never come last. This rule is about one thing: self-respect. You have to be the guardian of your own worth, because when you consistently put yourself last, you teach others to do the same. Know what you bring to the table: your kindness, your strength, your insight, and refuse to accept anything less than what honors that value. It's not about being selfish. It's about recognizing that your happiness and emotional health are non-negotiable. If someone can't meet you with the care, dignity, and respect you deserve, then they don't belong in the sacred space of your life. When you prioritize your own needs, you're not just protecting your peace, you're sending a message: I will not allow my worth to be diminished. And that kind of self-assured energy, it's powerful. It commands attention. It creates respect. This isn't about chasing approval. It's about fostering relationships where you are treated as an equal. You're not here to be overshadowed. You're here to be understood, valued, and respected for who you are. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, said it clearly. It is not events that disturb people. It is their judgments concerning them. And how you judge your worth, how you allow yourself to be treated, is exactly what sets the tone for every connection in your life. A powerful historical example of this is Lucius Quinctius Cincinnatus, a Roman general and statesman. Though offered great political power and urged by his allies to embrace a life of leadership and influence, Cincinnatus consistently chose integrity over indulgence. When his duty was done, he didn't cling to titles or glory. He returned to the quiet simplicity of his farm, distancing himself from those who didn't honor his principles. Why? Because he valued peace over power, principles over popularity. and that made him a symbol of strength, humility, and unshakable self-respect. His story reminds us, when you live by your values and honor your needs, you don't just protect your soul, you elevate your entire life. And once you've rooted yourself in that self-respect, the next rule becomes essential. Rule 7. Don't always be available. Think about it. The rarest treasures aren't found on every street corner. Why should you be? Your availability should reflect your value, your time, your energy, your presence. These are limited resources. They shouldn't be offered freely at anyone's whim. Imagine living a life where you're not constantly on standby, where you don't drop everything for every message, every request, every tug on your attention. What would that feel like? Liberating, empowering, balanced. You have your own path, your own dreams, your own rhythm. And those who enter your world, they should feel honored, not entitled. Let's go deeper into that in Rule 7. So once you've shown that your time is sacred, that your life isn't lived on standby for anyone, something powerful happens. People begin to wonder about you. What are you up to? Where's your attention going? What drives your day when you're not with them? Rule 8. Stop starting the conversation all the time. Let's be honest. In most relationships, there's often one person always reaching out first. But here's the truth. Always being the one to initiate communication can silently chip away at your perceived value. Why? Because when you're constantly the one texting, calling, or checking in, it can unintentionally send the message that you're too available, maybe even a bit too eager. This rule isn't about withdrawing affection or playing games. It's about creating balance. When you step back and allow them to reach out first, you open space for mutual effort. It shows you have a rich, dynamic life, full of passions, priorities, and people. And it also reveals something important: their level of interest in you. If they don't reach out, that's information. If they do, even better. It came from genuine desire, not obligation. Marcus Aurelius said it best: the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice. In relationships, that means not mirroring neglect or imbalance. It means upholding your dignity, your self-respect, and your emotional equilibrium. So instead of chasing constant validation or pouring all your energy into keeping conversations alive, let silence speak. Let them miss you. Let them wonder, because silence, when intentional, is one of the loudest statements you can make. Consider the story of Ada Lovelace, a woman whose intellect left an indelible mark on history. She lived in a time when women were expected to be quiet, compliant, and ever available. But Ada, she defied those expectations. She immersed herself in the world of mathematics, becoming a pioneer in what we now call computer science. She collaborated with minds like Charles Babbage, not because she waited for permission, but because she followed her purpose with relentless focus. Ada didn't seek attention. She didn't linger for approval, and that made her magnetic. Her value wasn't built on being constantly accessible. It was forged through brilliance, mystery, and deep focus. And in doing so, she left behind a legacy far greater than mere social niceties. Her life reminds us, when you stop chasing and start living, the right people come closer, drawn by the strength of your presence, not the frequency of your pinks. Now, once you've adjusted how often you initiate contact, the next layer is emotional. Because showing up with heart is vital, but becoming too emotionally attached can undo all the ground you've gained. Rule 9. Don't be too emotionally attached. This rule isn't about becoming cold or distant. It's about practicing emotional balance, loving without losing yourself. Because when your emotions constantly dominate the dynamic of a relationship, it shifts the balance. It can make your needs feel like pressure instead of connection. Of course, emotions are part of who we are. But when they overflow unchecked, they can cloud our self-worth and create dependency where there should be mutual respect. Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." In other words, let feelings breathe. Let them settle. Respond, don't react. Emotional restraint doesn't mean shutting down. It means showing up grounded. It means sharing your truth without handing over your entire emotional world for someone else to manage. In the next rule, we'll explore how self-control not only protects your heart, but strengthens your ability to lead the emotional tone in any relationship. After mastering emotional balance and learning not to let your feelings control the dynamic, we now arrive at one of the most powerful principles of all. Rule 10. Be willing to walk away. There comes a time when protecting your peace means letting go. No matter how strong the emotional bond, no matter how deep the history, when a relationship consistently fails to honor your worth, it's time to consider walking away. This rule isn't cold or callous. It's self-respect in action. Walking away doesn't mean you never cared. It means you finally realized you care about yourself enough not to tolerate being undervalued. You see, boundaries mean nothing unless you're prepared to enforce them. If your standards for how you want to be treated are repeatedly ignored, you owe it to yourself to step back. This act isn't about punishing someone. It's about choosing you, your mental health, your self-esteem, your emotional clarity. Sometimes it's the simple act of stepping away that speaks the loudest. It sends a clear message. I know my worth. I refuse to shrink just to stay in someone else's life. And here's the truth. When you're ready to leave, people take notice. Your willingness to walk away reveals just how serious you are about your value. It often forces them to confront what they've taken for granted, and in some cases inspires change. But even if it doesn't, that's okay. Because your goal isn't to cling to relationships that chip away at your confidence. Your goal is to build connections grounded in respect, balance, and authenticity. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's the heart of Rule 10. You can't control how others act, but you can absolutely control what you allow, what you tolerate, and what you walk away from. Consider Marcus Aurelius himself. Despite holding the highest position in the Roman Empire, he often faced political pressures and alliances that went against his ethics. And yet, rather than compromising, he stepped back. He distanced himself from alliances and individuals that conflicted with his values, proving that real strength lies not in clinging to power, but in staying true to principle. Even at the top, he chose integrity over influence. And that's what Rule 10 is all about, knowing when to hold firm and when to release what no longer serves your spirit. So let's take a step back and reflect. We've now walked through 10 transformative rules, principles that will make you someone others naturally want to prioritize. From cultivating mystery, to setting boundaries, to nurturing emotional independence, each rule builds upon the last, guiding you toward healthier, more meaningful connections. Here's what you've learned. Be mysterious. Let them invest in you. Create your own happiness. Prioritize your needs. Don't be too available. Step back when necessary. Balance how you communicate. Guard your emotions. Never orbit your life around someone else. And above all, be willing to walk away when respect is no longer present. This isn't about manipulation. This is about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts respect, admiration, and care. Not by demanding it, but by embodying it. So, if you've ever felt like just an option in someone's life, remember this: you are the one who chooses. And you hold the power to walk away from anything or anyone that doesn't see your worth. As we close this video, take a moment to reflect on which rule resonated most with you. Drop it in the comments as a personal declaration. For example, if Rule 6 stood out, simply write, "I will prioritize my needs first." Let your words be a commitment to yourself. One that marks the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where your time, energy, and love are given only to those who see your value and honor it. Now you're ready to to step boldly into relationships that uplift you and walk away from anything that holds you back. Your worth is immeasurable. And it's time the world saw that too.